Genevieve, how you doing? First thing I want to do is I want to address your writing. Quite often, we instructors learn as much about how you are learning by your writing as we do by the execution of your assignment. So I love it when students add this kind of really robust written experience associated with the assignment. So let's just go ahead and address this. I was a bit nervous about doing 3 words. Absolutely. More frequent I practice typography by hand, the better results. Yes, absolutely. Now you see why we do this by hand. These assignments are great by hand. It gives you a wonderful understanding, one you can't appreciate when learning kerning on the computer. I noticed a big difference in my first version. I remember I told you guys last week it's going to freak you out how quickly you get good at this. So definitely, I realized the graphite pencil I was using. Excellent. I'm so glad to see you change pencils. So you're at a 2B and an HB for the outline. Fantastic. Um, Took my time on a cap height, X height baseline this week. Also made a different struggle with making the serifs appropriate shapes. There's a light table. Yeah, listen, here's a really neat trick for a light table. Take one. Do you have a glass table at your house? If you do, just take a lamp, put it underneath it, and you've got a light table. Another thing to do is if you have, and this one's a little bit more complex, but if you have any pictures on the wall that have glass, you can disassemble those pictures, take the glass, and that's a tough one, and create your own light table. That's a really tough one though, because then we have the possibility of breaking glass, and I don't want to suggest that. Of course, the other possibility is what we did when we were kids to trace, and that's put it up against the window. That would involve tape and things like that, but there's ways around it. I think the easiest way is to, if you have a glass top table, just put a lamp underneath it. Presto, you have a light table. All right, Genevieve, let's go ahead and take a look at your work. I've got the work up right here. So, of course, I want to mention if you've looked at some of the other video critiques, I've mentioned these are really important. This is the course announcements, and I've got a ton of videos in here. There's all sorts of resources in these 4 announcements right here. So definitely want to take a look at those. Specifically, pay attention to Welcome to Week 2. There's 4 announcements in there, and those announcements really do a great job. There's even a demonstration on how to kern fire and ice on the computer, and this is the document from that. So I'm going to use that to take a look at your spacing and make some comparisons. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so first thing I could say, I think your mean line isn't drawn, and it's really important to depict the baseline and the mean line because I want to see overshoot. Remember, overshoot from our course lecture indicates that curved letter forms should rise above the mean line and below the cap line, just a hair, and that's to accommodate for the optical illusion that curved letter forms are smaller than their straight counterparts. Overshoot is covered in week 2 lectures, and if you want more, just Google typographic overshoot, and you'll see wonderful examples. So you definitely want to depict that baseline, mean line, cap line, so that we can check for overshoot in your final iteration. I think your letter forms are pretty good. I think you're darn good. Just watch your craft. A couple of your vertical stems aren't true verticals. Okay, so that's on a diagonal. That's on a diagonal. I know this is tough, but it's just really want to strive for this. Now, in terms of spacing, I think that you're doing a good job here. A couple of areas I think could be a little bit tighter is right here. This could be a little bit tighter right there. And you feel free to use this. You can screenshot this and use this for a guide for your second iteration. I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect. And seems to be turned perfectly. And ice is just spot on. If anything, ice should be a little bit spaced right there. But I think ice is right now. I think it's turned more effectively than the other letter forms. I think this can be closed down a little bit right here. And it's also difficult to tell because we've got some diagonals here in your true vertical stems. So basically what we're looking for is really pay attention to craft and get those baseline, mean line, cap line in there so we can check overshoot. Watch your letter spacing as indicated by the recommendations I just mentioned, and then let's talk about word spacing. I think word spacing is really good. This is a natural area that's problematic right here, and the reason being is because we have 2 open counters. We have this open counter in a lowercase a, and this open counter in a lowercase e. That creates an illusion that this space is much greater than this space. That's why I think yours is pretty darn good, though. I'm not seeing much of an issue here. This can be closed down just a little bit in comparison to this. You can reduce the space there a little bit, but what you want to avoid is the viewer actually depicting this as a greater space than this and actually wanting to take a break at that space. Okay, so all right, so great start. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to make any necessary clarifications. But great first attempt here, Genevieve. I'm looking forward to seeing your final iteration due this Sunday. All right, any questions at all, please let me know. Thank you.